to 4 Minutes Closer to God. In our continuing discussion of the nature of sin, we're understanding what God says not to do that we end up doing, and that then causes us to die a little bit inside, even as we are destined towards death in our mortal bodies and can be saved by Jesus in our spirits, our souls, and our bodies. Those are through justification, sanctification, and glorification. So the glorified body then doesn't have to mess with aches and pains and the things that would cause us to get tired and have bad reactions to upsets and things like that. And so sin is defined in the Bible throughout as something that goes against God's will, basically. So he's established the 10 Commandments to do that, but then also as a matter of helping us to understand what God is intending, we have a notion of sin as being crossing a line. 10 Commandments establish a line, we go over that line. One of the things that is considered sin is simply missing the mark. And so in Hebrew, chata is missing the mark, and in Greek, the New Testament, hamartia is missing the mark. I've always had the image of missing the mark as like an archer shooting an arrow. Well, if you shoot an arrow that's 30 feet away and you miss the center, you've missed the mark. Sometimes, depending on the archer, it can be quite a bit, or it can be much less. Part of the problem with shooting an arrow is you assume the bow is working properly and that the arrow is straight and properly fitted with the fletching, the feathers on it, and that the person is aiming at the right target. Well, that isn't always the case. The arrow itself can be bent, and then you would miss the mark by shooting an arrow where it won't, there's no possibility of it hitting the mark. There's also the idea that the target is so far away that there's no chance for you to hit the mark. So if you're out and the target is the moon, you shoot your arrow and it's going straight to the moon as far as you can, the weight of gravity will pull it back down to Earth. And so we have this weight of gravity in our existence that will pull us back down to Earth in the measure of sin. And that's the idea that we don't want to have happen. So missing the mark is something that God will keep us from doing by his sanctification process. So missing the mark with the arrow example is one thing, but then there are many others like iniquity, following the beat of a sinful heart, doing things that are just totally against God's will, that we know are, and we choose to do them anyway. I've missed the mark in that way, as well as missed the mark in really trying my best in some things, but just falling short. And so sin, that from which we would wish to be rescued, that causes death, is all of these things and more.